That's how the cookie crumbles.
Oh yeah.
Are you ready for this, sir?
Yes, I am. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Let me just hit record here. Oh whoa! Why are you so? you have just like a whole bunch of. There we go. It was just like, and then I was just like kind of cut off.
Oh, nice.
All right, I think I got the episode number correct. All right. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 205th episode of the GeekVerse podcast. I am the Hammer, Trask now.
I'm the ticking time bomb, Tyler Briggs.
Mm-hmm. So, ladies and gentlemen, first thing I gotta say for video listeners, if you're wondering if there's a little wonky camera angle, I'm in the middle of moving, so I don't have. Well, I have my tripod. I know where it is. Dylan and Tyler Saris have it hostage. I had it over for Dylan's party, and then the next day I asked him, like, "Oh, do you have my tripod?" No, and everything like that. So, and then later on I got a Snapchat from him, Tyler Saris. You can check out. He's on the Gauntlet, and then he's literally just like riding around it like with as like a broom, and
That's
it was
a classic.
just an insult to me, you know. So no tripod right now, but yeah. So thank you everyone for tuning in last week. Comic-Con, we had a whole bunch of coverage there, so you can go back. We had a podcast for every single day, so that was good. You can check out our first After 9 podcast. I have to warn you, there is a warning up top that is the most loosest, non-planned podcast. It's just people talking. This one we're playing Monopoly. If you like it, you can go to Patreon and get the Bang one. So that one's pretty fun. Next week, I don't know what exactly is going on. I think there could be a newscast. I think me and Taylor might review Christopher Robin. I just know at some point there'll be a cast of some sort. There might even be two. We don't know, but there's going to be some sort of cast next week. And then I think as well our Blade retro finishes as well. So Blade 3, make sure you check out Blade 1, Blade 2, and then go watch Blade Trinity, that great movie. Have you ever seen the Blades?
I've seen one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember which one, but
yeah,
it was a long time ago. And
yeah, you don't gotta worry about it. I like some of them, but it's Dylan was not fond of the retro, so he's like, why do we?
I've heard he's very vocal of things he's not fond of.
Yeah, but you know what? Hopefully we're fond of is Tom Cruise and Mission Impossible. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you've not joined us for a review before, what we do is we do a non-spoilers review. We'll give our little overall thoughts here and there, and we'll give you a warning, and then we'll jump into spoilers. Obviously, nothing like Infinity War. There's not too huge spoilers and whatnot.
Yeah.
But, you know, we will still give you a warning in case you want to just see the movie. And you haven't got around to it. So I was thinking, when was the last time you and I just did a review together? I feel like it was Arrival.
Yeah, I think so.
I think that might be the one.
While back.
Yeah, that's one of our biggest episodes, actually.
Right
yeah.
on.
Yeah. So obviously, I don't think this is gonna compare to Arrival. But what did you think about this film in the non-spoilers front?
It was good.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more than I thought it would be. I would.
Mm-hmm.
I remember talking to my friend just before the film, and I was thinking, you know, it's going to be fun, but it's going to be kind of a turn off your brain a little bit, just dumb action, spy, fun. And I think a lot of that was because I didn't really like Rogue Nation, and honestly, I don't even remember a lot about it. It wasn't that memorable of a movie for me, so.
And have you seen the other ones, or was it just Rogue Nation?
I have seen the other ones, but
just a long time
ago,
yeah.
So it's been a while. I don't have like a good solid foundation for the Mission Impossible series, but yeah, I ended up enjoying it a lot. Tom Cruise I always sleep on him, and he always impresses.
Always delivers.
Especially in this film, the fact that he does all his stunts and whatnot is just like, I kept thinking that, and I was like, man, this is wild. Mm-hmm. He's going crazy for this film. So really good. Henry Cavill, I absolutely loved in this film. I think he played that character perfectly, and just the whole, like, the whenever he's on screen and the tone and feeling he gave off, I thought was spot on.
Yeah.
Soundtrack was really good. I enjoyed it a lot. It really kept the pace going, and
I was actually gonna look and see who did that. Yeah.
Helped definitely helped a lot of the action scenes along. It was really kept you really intense, but still kind of fun at the same time.
Yeah.
And then
they always keep like the chimes of the theme in there. They're always just kind of remixed or redone in a way.
Oh yeah. So yeah, overall I thought it was a really good film. Great kind of spy, more of a fun spy film than a serious one, but overall still really well done. They had a lot of really good A lot of really fun spy moments, I guess. Mission Impossible moments that really keep you on the edge of your seat and keep you guessing as to what's going to happen. So that was really good. And acting overall, I was impressed with. Soundtrack was great. And I would recommend this to pretty much anyone, I would say. It wasn't like a blow me away kind of film, but it's definitely a fun film that anyone who's into action films, I definitely recommend it to.
Yeah, and I think it helps if you've seen the other movies because you have a bit more connections to the characters, but kind of all, it's similar like James Bond and kind of all the Mission Impossibles, you can still see these kind of by themselves, then you get the idea. Like they lay it and that's actually one con I have in the spoilers is like they lay it on pretty thick as far as if you've not seen a movie about like what's happening and who these people are, and they'll tell you over and over. So so I guess my history of the franchise, I'm a big fan of it. I caught up on them all before, I think it was when like the fourth one was announced. It was like it was in like pre-production, and that's when the fourth one is when he goes in like the world's tallest building. Yeah, and I'd seen all these photos and whatnot, so I was like, this is probably a franchise I should watch. I'd never seen them at any point, so I watched. So I hadn't seen them when they were coming out concurrently, and even with the third one, it looked really good, but I just never got around. And I was a Tom Cruise fan. It was just one of those just haven't done it on the bucket list, so then I watched all three. 3 was my favorite. 3 is still my favorite just because I love the villain in that one. It's Philip Seymour Hoffman. He's like, I like the villain in this movie, but that villain just has a bit more not even layers. He's just a bit more imposing. We spend a bit more time with him. But that was also 3 is the one where he's like retired for a bit, and that's where he meets his wife Julia. And I kind of like anytime you have like a fish out of water, I kind of like, and I like he's a spy and he's at home, and there's just one scene I like where. Like they're like 2 rooms across, like his wife and her girlfriends are talking, and they're like, oh, what was that lake, blah blah blah, and then he just like across the room, he's like, oh, it was like whatever, like Tahoe or something like that. And then when he goes back, the girl's like, how did he hear us from so far away? So like I liked that as far as same thing, kind of cheesy comedy. I really liked 4. I really liked Rogue Nation, so I've kind of liked them all. 2 is alright, but I've liked them all. I'm a big Tom Cruise fan. If you're on the cast, like I say, he's like a really underrated actor, just because I think it's not because of star power. I just think people forget, like him and Brad Pitt forget how good of actors they can be just because, they're known for like box office, or just like Brad Pitt's more like for a while was like the tabloids, and they're just good looking guys. So I think that like all their personal stuff kind of takes away from that, and he's great in this movie. I think he has a few emotional scenes, not like any of the other. Like I don't know. That's why I guess why I really like 3 too, is because like obviously his wife gets kidnapped, so tensions are quite high, so you get to see a range of emotions. But he's great. Yeah, the cast is great. Henry Cavill's playing an interesting character. I like what they do with the villains. The whole movie has like classic twists and turns and everything like that, and it is fun for the most part. But I will say there are a couple moments that are a bit darker. They do. Definitely. And it's funny. Like I think we talked about in the cast how movies have a hard time doing that. Mission Impossible for some reason really never has. They get really dark, but then 10 minutes later they're having a good old time, and it never feels out of place. And that's where, and it's funny because the guy that directed this did Rogue Nation, but other than that they've always had different directors, so somehow they've still managed to keep that kind of vibe of you can go have a fun time, there's going to be some serious drama going on, but at the end of the day you can still kind of leave with a smile on your face, and I can't say that at this point, but there's a few things where I was like, wow, they maybe went a little too far, but it's, we'll get there. You brought up the score. I thought was fantastic. I gotta look, as I looked at this guy. His name was Lauren Balfe, and I don't know any of the other stuff he's done. He did Ghost in the Shell. He did Geostorm. He's just done a bunch of like he's done some good movies, but nothing huge. But I almost got. Maybe it's because I've been listening to it lately. But see, even this, he did Son of Gold, composed with Hans Zimmer. The reason I was wondering about that is because I got a lot of like Dark Knight vibes to it. Okay. There's the way it would boom, and the way there was like constant, like it wasn't a ticking, but it was just constant like sounds going on the whole time. That felt very much like the Dark Knight, where times where there's just traffic going around, the bank heist, like there's the overbearing like but it kind of had that vibe. The biggest thing too is the action, but tied with the sound was the sound editing and like the sound mixing of this movie. There's one chase in particular that goes on for quite a while, and it is just like a motorcycle, car, guns, but it's just so spot on. And I think this was the score was pretty quiet, or there's not too much score, and it's just the sound editing good. It's just from just when he's changing gears and everything like that, and just it reminded me. And I haven't read any reviews because I don't really do that now because of cast, but I'd seen a lot of people comparing this to Mad Max Fury Road, and that's the only way you could. And I can see that from the action standpoint. The action was really crisp in this movie. It was brutal at times, but yeah, the sound editing to me was one of the biggest things because it was just every little thing had a noise and it felt way more realistic, even though in real life not really everything makes a noise, but it almost added to the intensity of those scenes, especially the scenes that lessened on the score. I'm trying to think. As far as cons, the only cons I have would be spoiler ones, but I guess I can say this in a non-spoiler way. It's just there's one story thing in particular that I feel is a little rushed, and we'll get into that. There's just one subplot where I was like, okay, and nothing's bad in this movie. That nothing's like overly bad. And then one thing, there's a few scenarios where these movies have cheese factor, and I wouldn't even say they were cheesy. There were just a few scenes that maybe broke the realism of the world for me. They do some really outlandish stuff in all these movies. Like we just talked about Tom Cruise on the tallest building, but for me it's kind of like, okay, well I guess you could train to do this, where there's two scenarios, which we'll get into spoilers, that I was like, you can't really train, and it's just based purely on luck. And I think you can do luck here and there in movies, but when there are two huge set pieces and they're based really in high octane action and really like, oh, it has to be luck. So I didn't really love those. And then the only shout out to, I'll say like a non-spoiler, I'll try to be as vague as I can, is like I said, Mission Impossible 3 is my favorite. That's when they introduced his wife. From a marketing standpoint, I wish we didn't see she was coming back, because this is not a big spoiler. She's just not even in the movie that much. Like she's in the trailers, but it's not that big of a deal that she's in this. And for me, as someone that loves 3, and obviously, okay, this is his wife, they broke up, and we kind of got a few reasons here and there. In this movie, they give you like the full rundown of why they're not together, but I was really excited for her to come back, and I think it would have had much more better effect if I didn't know that going in. And I'm not sure if you'd seen trailers and known that, but
no,
for me, just because I love that storyline, I picked up on it, and I heard she was coming back, and I wish, and even the way she's in the movie, I feel like you could have kept it a secret. Like that's not even a big spoiler. It's just like the setting of it. Like I don't think photos would have leaked out. Like it's pretty contained. So those are only a few cons, but other than that, I had a really good time. I'll do this for the non-spoilers. If I were to rank them, I still got 3 at first. I got Ghost Protocol at second. I got this one third, actually. I got Rogue Nation fourth, and then 2 and 1. 1 I got to rewatch. I haven't watched in a while, but those 2... Or sorry, no, 2's at the bottom. 1 is... I think I screwed that. Yeah, 1 is second last. 1 is really good, but that's the thing. All these movies are really good. Even 2, which is just very generic action. It's kind of over the top. It's not the greatest of the bunch. That's the only one I'd say was like all right. But the rest... They always provide like a good action, fun time in the theater. Like I leave this movie, I'm like, oh, I had a good time. I spent my money well, and I'm always down to see another adventure, and keep making them while Tom Cruise is around. So, do you have anything else non-spoiler you want to show out there?
The pacing, I'm gonna say. The fact that it's a 2.5 hour movie might turn some people away, and there's a lot of action pieces that are pretty lengthy,
pretty long.
There's not a lot of downtime, but they pace it really well. It doesn't feel like you're in the theater for 2.5 hours.
No,
and at no point did I ever feel burnt out on just kind of action set piece and maybe a little bit of in between another action set piece. I felt it was very it kept me very interested in each action piece and how they did it, and so I think it's definitely not a slog if you're a little worried about that. So don't let that intimidate you, for sure.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that I like is when movies, they go to lots of places in the world, and not even like lots of different countries. There's not even big spoilers. Like there's one big set piece in like a bar, and then there's one big set piece in kind of like just a city, and then there's kind of like an underground sewer area, and then there's like an outside, like a snow landscape. I think that helps movies a lot. I think that's one of the biggest reasons why I love Inception, because they do the dreams, but every dream is like this different world. So I think that helps movies a lot and that's why I think Marvel movies are successful too, especially like space, you have somewhere to go, where sometimes when you're stuck on a place for so long, if it's a shorter movie you can do it, but if it's a 2.5 hour movie and you're kind of in one place for most of the time, I feel like that's when you'll feel it's a slog. So Alright, so spoilers. So 3, 2, 1. If you've not seen the movie, you're planning on seeing it, then now's your time to tune out. If you've seen it, come along for the ride. Or if you just want to be spoiled, then that's up to you. But that's what we're about to do. So I'm going to start with the cons first, just because I was leaving them on the hanger and so I can be clear to you. So the the two scenes, because you already noticed I said this in the theater last night, the two scenes that I didn't love, they were fun in like a cheesy action way, but I didn't love the helicopter dive in the lightning storm, just because I thought, even Henry Cavill's character to be like, whatever, we're going, I just feel like anything could happen, and like I just felt like it was very video gamey. These movies are, but this was like it was almost a bit too much for me, because like I said, I feel like it is cheesy and over the top at times, but they still stay in the realm of possibility, like this could happen. I guess you could dive through the lightning storm and be okay, like I'm sure you could, but it just felt like for me these agents both would, I don't know, like it would seem a little too risky. Like maybe just keep going a little further. Like it was just, I was like, I don't know, like I was a little worried at that point. And then the other one for me was the final battle Henry Cavill and Tom Cruise have on the mountaintop, and it's a helicopter. And I like all that, and I can even buy, okay, he crashes one helicopter into another. Very unlikely that it's going to be successful, but somehow I can buy that. But for me, when it kept, so there's like what is it, like there's like the helicopter is attached to like a rope or a cable, and it has like a metal, cable, like a hook there, huge metal hook, and so it's falling down a cliff, but it keeps catching on rocks and stopping it. This helicopter probably weighs 1,000 pounds, something like that. And it happened once, and I was fine. I was like, okay, that's a little unbelievable, but whatever, it happened. Yeah. But then it happens about 3 or 4 times where it breaks a rock and then it catches again, and I was like, a bit too much for me. And for me, what really capped it off was the way they kill Henry Cavill, is the way that he took Tom Cruise is hanging on the mountain. Henry Cavill's at the helicopter, he's hanging on. Tom Cruise like whips the hook down, and it like impales Henry Cavill in the head and like pulls him down. Like it would have had the same effect if he had just fell, you know? Like I felt like it got a little over the top, and that was just for me where it's like I love these movies and they're fun, but that just those moments, and I still enjoy them. Maybe I'll enjoy them a bit more when I rewatch them, but in the moment they took me out of it a little bit, because I just felt this was a little too cheesy for me, a little too much. But how did those moments strike you? Because those are two of the big... Because the rest of the set pieces are pretty, like, the chases, like, they're all, I think, realistic, or what we've come to know from this franchise. But those two were, like I said, I think above average as far as set pieces. Like, it felt like they wanted to go above and beyond. They definitely did that. I just don't know if it worked for me, necessarily.
I think... They stood out. There was definitely, I think those two were probably the ones where it's like that suspension of disbelief was just kind of like a little too much. I'm just like, I can they can get away with quite a bit with the style of movie they're going for, but those are just definitely a little much. Like especially with as you later find out, Henry Cavill's the bad guy. Mm-hmm. That does like. It doesn't even make sense why he would do the plane thing into lightning storm. There's no benefit to him doing it as the good guy or the bad guy.
He gets struck, it's over.
And he did get struck. He could have just ended right there.
Well, I wasn't... Did he get struck, or was he just messing with Tom Cruise? I wasn't sure about that now in retrospect, knowing that he's the bad guy. Just because the way he was like, oh, you lost something. I wasn't sure if... Because the beginning, and I guess like we're kind of talking about him, like... He kind of plays off like he's kind of a doofus at the beginning, so that's why I was wondering if him acting like, not jumping out of the plane, because that's, I don't know, but him, I don't know if we'll never know this because he's dead, and I don't think they'll ever refer back to this scene, but I kind of had the impression that he could have got hit, or he could have like pretended he got hit, and he's just playing off that he's like a really weak, not really weak, but he's lesser than Ethan, right? That's what I kind of got from it after that. There's a potential, because the rest of that scene is him like screwing up constantly. To me, maybe he did just get hit by a lightning bolt, but then if he did, then I don't know how, like, he should... You don't just wake up, you know? Like, he did, like, I don't know, like,
Well, because you saw the issue was that his, like, air tube thing...
True.
Got knocked off or something.
But how did it get knocked off? Because, like, you hear, like, a loud bang, and then the screen goes white, and then when you wake up, Ethan's, like, going around, and then Henry's over there, like... free falling, so that's why I'm not sure, but yeah, it was a little much just because they're men. I guess I have another comment, but we'll table that because talk about Henry now because we're on him. Mm-hmm. So I really liked what ended up happening with him. I was really worried for the first 20 minutes when he was just the goof, and I was like, I don't want him to be the goof guy. Like even if, especially too, because I kind of got from the trailers, okay, at some point he's gonna be hunting Ethan down, right? And I'm like, I do not want him to be the semi-comedic guy and then hunting him down, but I liked that he was a villain, but they reveal it pretty early on. Like I think it's maybe half an hour in the movie, but it's not used as a big twist later on. Like the second he has that meeting with, I can't remember the character's name, but Angela Bassett, who's like his boss, and he gives him the phone, and as the viewers we know, okay, clearly something's up.
That's not the right phone.
Yeah, and I gotta give them credit for those moments. They don't spell everything out, because like with that helicopter hook, they shot to it first before anything happened, and then like
focused on it for a second.
Yeah, and then 5 minutes later happened. Same with the phone. They like made sure you saw like this phone is broken. It's gonna be important. Then later on when he hands it over, so I quite liked the twist of doing it early. So then we had the rest of the movie when they're together, seeing that he is a bad guy, and we know. I thought that added to the scenes anytime they're together, because you never know what was happening. You never know, is this something he's planning? Is he just going with the flow? So I thought that was a good touch to reveal it early on, that he was a shady guy or a bad guy. So
I really liked how they revealed it too, with the cracked phone, and I thought that was really clever how they did that. And then a lot of the scenes after that was, when is it going to like do the big reveal to all the other characters that he's the bad guy? Like how are they going to do that? So that was really exciting. And then I want to, moving on, I guess going off reveals there, I want to talk about all the different like little twist scenes they had. So starting from the first one, I guess in the hospital with the nukes going off, that was wild. Yeah, that was a bold intro.
It was, and I like it for the fact of it showed how smart they were. But there was a part of me that was a little bummed when it didn't happen, because when the movie starts and they lose the plutonium, and then the next thing we have is the news, I was like, man, this is a ballsy movie. They just said like 3 countries just got nuked. I'm like, we're off to a start, because I just thought, okay, they got nuked, and then there's gonna be more nukes, and they gotta stop it this time. So I liked the twist overall, because it was a fun comedic thing, and I think they didn't want to get too like dark in this movie, because 3 nuclear explosions going off is quite heavy. But there was a part of me that was like, man, that would have been really ballsy, but really well done. I think I figured it out about halfway through, but it was I really liked that. So
yeah, I thought that was really good. And again with that one, and then also with the I guess the next kind of big one was when they revealed that Mark Cavill was the bad guy too, when he kind of
Henry Cavill.
Yeah, Mark.
Mark Cavill.
Henry Cavill was the bad guy to Benji there, and that kind of whole reveal scene, when I thought that one was really good too, because I didn't actually. I caught on to the first one with the scientists there, but I didn't actually catch on to that one until. Me either. So I thought that was really well done until he's like grown men in Halloween fucking masks, and then he realizes that they're playing him, and then I realized it. I'm like, oh my shit, what's going on?
Well, I think they did that well, because we didn't get any scenes of Alec Baldwin's character, like the IMF leader or whatever guy, that guy was the leader of the team. We didn't get any scenes of them together at all with Tom Cruise or Benji or anything like that. So all we know is, hey, last time we've seen these people was, well, we saw him at the airport, but then we see her getting these files, like, oh, he might be shady. So then you could draw the conclusion that, okay, he might be a bad guy. And in the movie, that I think what they did well is, because you don't know when would they have had a chance to talk to Alec Baldwin about, hey, hey, Ethan Hunt, or I don't know why I'd call him Ethan, but hey, Ethan, like, you might be exposed, you want to talk about this? Like, they didn't even, obviously they did it through phone or something like that in the movie, but I think that was a good call, not for them to have any scenes up and like since the airport. And I like that, so I didn't see that coming, and you have no reason to believe that Ethan and his team would think that Henry Cavill's a bad guy. But I still like that Henry Cavill still kind of duped them again, that there was like a double duping of like, okay, they got me, but I have CIA coming here no matter what. So either way, I'm going to be fine and get out of this, which I liked. I knew he wasn't going to get caught out of there, but I like that he used some like intellect to get out of it, not just he pulled the gun and got them all. Like, it was down to guns, but it was plants and the CIA, right? So, no, I was a big fan of both of those. But yeah, that one I did not see coming until it happened. I was like, that was a fantastic moment. And it still gets me sometimes. They've been doing these mask like gimmicks since the first movie, and every movie there's still one time where they get me. I think I'm like, next movie I'm just gonna be prepared. I'm gonna think everyone's wearing a mask, because somehow this franchise has been going since the 90s, and every movie they get me once. So yeah. What I was gonna ask was, Henry Cavill's actually John Lark, right?
Yes.
Okay, so it was just the guy in the bathroom was a plant.
He was just a plant.
Okay. I want to make sure, because I don't think they never really referred to him as John Lark after that. They call him by his CIA name or whatever that was, but Yeah, I think he was a good villain. He was pretty much just more of the muscle though, and it's not even a con, but as the film went on, he was more of the muscle. So
yeah, it was I guess Lang. It was, Solomon Lang. It was pretty much his grand plan. So and then he was the big bad villain.
Yeah.
Was he from a previous movie too?
He's from Rogue Nation. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they capture him and everything like that, and he is tied with Elsa and everything like that. He's like they said in the movie, he's like former British intelligence and whatnot. So this was like the first Mission Impossible to be direct sequel to any of them too. Like some they'll have characters and whatnot, but this picked up, I don't know right from, but it picked up pretty close to the other one. So what I wanted to shout out too before I forget is like my other big con was, and this was the story thing that I was saying was rushed. So they bring back Julia, his wife. This is why I was talking about the trailers and not announcing it before, and even the movie does this. I did not like the dream sequences with her because I thought it was really on the nose that she's gonna get kidnapped at some point, and then so like the thing that bugged me is so there's that great chase where Tom Cruise is being directed by Benji and he's going through the city and everything like that, and like good comedy, all that. They kept the scene in there where he broke his ankle and everything like that. Yeah. So that's a great scene. He gets on the elevator, Henry Cavill's going up, and he's just like, you can't, if I ever see your face, something bad's gonna happen. Ethan's like, oh, you can't do anything, and then he has the picture, throws down a picture, and it's a great reveal of Julia. But for me, if we didn't have those dream sequences up at the top, and I'm just imagining a movie where we don't have those dream sequences, and for me and maybe other people that saw it didn't announce she was in it, that would be a huge, like, oh, holy shit moment. Yeah. But I thought the dream sequences actually hurt just the reveal of that storyline, because why is he just dreaming about her randomly? Like, Ethan Hunt's not, like, supernatural, or he's not a superhero, like I don't know, if Xavier's having these dreams, then sure, but for Ethan Hunt to be having these dreams about, oh, they might take my ex-wife, and then they do, get his ex-wife, to me I don't think it was needed. A little bit much. Yeah, it was just too on the nose, and because the dream sequences weren't even that creative, too. It was just him, looking scared while Julia was, hanging out with the bad guy. So that kind of hurt it for me, was one. And two, I thought their storyline was kind of rushed, that the beginning of the movie, it seems like, hey, he clearly still loves his wife a lot, everything like that. He sees her again. And then they're just kind of like, yeah, we still should be divorced because our lives are so different. And then it just felt like he was boom, Elsa. It felt like he completely got over his wife in a second. And then there's that weird scene of him and Elsa at the end. Because in the last movie, there was romantic tension, but they weren't romantic. But here she is caressing his face. That. I thought it was too much. I think they could have still just been friendly and then do the romantic stuff after. But I thought, for me, that whole wife thing was kind of rushed from the beginning of the movie. Even when we meet her again, nothing really happens to her. She's just there. Henry Cavill doesn't take her or anything. She just happens to be there, and she helps him with a bomb. So I thought it was kind of rushed, and I didn't think she was actually needed. And as somebody that was a big fan of that storyline, I was kind of disappointed. It's not the worst thing ever. It's fine enough for me, but this is, I think, clearly the end point of those two, and he's gonna go off and be with her. And I thought it was kind of weak or rushed. A combination of those two. So I was a little disappointed with that.
Yeah, I think it definitely felt like a way of kind of tying off that loose end per se, even though it was from a couple movies back. But
which I appreciate.
Yeah, it is a good nod to it. I felt, I think there's a bit much emphasis put on it for how little there was. It would have been nice as just a little side story that was thrown in there. But I think her coming and helping with the bomb and stuff, and the whole kind of guardian angel sort of thing was a bit much. I think it would have been much better if it straight up was just a coincidence and not Lang planning to have her there or anything. If it's just holy shit, you're here, you're here, I'm here working. And I really liked their back and forth when they first met.
Yeah, and the overbearing husband was great too, super nice. She's you can ride with us, and that was great.
That was really good. And then I thought that was great, but aside from that, it did seem like a bit much. It didn't really need to be a key story point, which they kind of forced it to be.
Yeah, they did, especially because she doesn't, that plot line of Henry Cavill might have her doesn't really get introduced to the end of the second act. It's well in the movie, and then when he introduced that, probably 10 minutes later is when we see Julia. So she's not, and even then it feels like her helping with the bomb was just they need something for her to do. So it seems hey, we got Michelle Monaghan back, the actress, she's a big actress. we're paying her. Let's make sure she's doing something in this movie. You know, like I don't know. Like I almost think this plot line could have been saved for another movie because it seemed like there's so much going on as far they're literally dealing with nuclear weapons. I don't know if they needed to get his wife because even then. It doesn't actually make sense because Henry Cavill says, if I ever see your face again, I'm going to go after your ex-wife, whatever, the woman you love, right?
Yeah.
But no matter what, he was going to kill her because he was setting off those bombs where she was working.
Yeah.
So it's like, it feels a little pointless. It just feels like, and to me it felt even more pointless when it just seemed like they had that conversation and then it seemed like he was out of love with her. Where it felt like at the beginning of the movie, he's like still like madly in love with her. He's dreaming about her all the time. He's thinking about her, but... I guess it's because Elsa's a spy, so you know it works. But yeah, so yeah, for me that was those were my two cons. Did you have any cons to shout
out? Nothing too like groundbreaking, honestly.
That's good.
I think the very end, I guess you mentioned earlier the helicopter. I think that whole chase scene was a little. It was kind of like forced to happen because honestly. The Henry Cavill and his helicopter, they could have just kept flying away.
Yeah.
They didn't have to try and turn around and actually kill Tom Cruise because the worst that happened is they rammed them but they were the same helicopter. Presumably you could just go the same speed as them and
he's
they'll
not
never
going to catch up.
to you.
Yeah. The other thing I thought too is when he was going to drop so Tom Cruise in his helicopter, I'm not sure whatever that was, he's trying to drop that onto Henry Cavill's helicopter. I didn't understand how that was going to help because what happens if, you hit the propellers, they crash into like a fucking mountain and the thing explodes and the detonators are like, I actually thought that was, I don't know what he was going for in that plan.
It was over a lake, so the helicopter landed in the lake.
But then he
would have to land his helicopter in the lake somehow and swim down and get it, so... There was quite a few moments, and even if the fact that he did ram into the helicopter, what are the odds of you actually then recovering the detonator afterwards?
And even the way he rams into it is so, like, he stopped it, but it's almost like the most nice way to, like, not hurt his helicopter and hurt his helicopter. Like, it's just it's just damaging enough to stop, like, not in half anything. Like, and, like, when they're falling from sky to ground and going through the snow, the amount of times that Cavill and Cruise's characters roll and with no seatbelts and are just in this was a little frustrating. That was the only one set piece I think went on for a little long was because you had Luther and Julia, they were working on one bomb, and then Benji and Elsa were, I like that we're calling the other characters by their name, but not Tom Cruise and Henry Cavill. They're like upper tier, but they're doing all these different things. Like they're moving bomb, they're after Lang, they're fighting Lang, they're in the barn fighting him and killing him. And then every time they go back to Cruise and Cavill, it's just like, just still them driving and Cavill's just like shooting out. So I think that went on a little, that was when I was watching, I was like, okay, it just a minute long. I think not even that much, just a minute and 30 seconds. There was just times where I was like, okay, just catch them already because I know it's going to happen. But yeah, no, I could agree that was very kind of, but that whole sequence I guess was kind of video gamey. So
yeah, definitely. I think even just, because at that point I found the Benji and Elsa, was it?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
I found their sort of sequence with that going after Lang, finding the other bomb was a lot more exciting than 100%, the whole helicopter thing. So every time I went back to them, like Benji's doing his comedic thing, Elsa's doing all the spy thing, and then even their fight with Lang was really tense and exciting. But
great fight, like when they like when she has to. She's trying very hard to make sure she chokes out Lang
as fast as she can.
Yeah,
and Benji's, that was really good.
Hi, Dilmus. Dilmus is in the group chat. You haven't seen this movie. Come on, get out of here. But no, I thought that was really good, and it almost had like a horror vibe for a little bit, like just a small bit. But when they're looking for Lang, and even the I thought it took me out of the movie for a second, the logistics of it. So they find the bomb, and then Lang punches through a wall, and then grabs her and brings her through the wall. I don't know if Lang's that strong enough a guy. He's pretty tiny, but that's fine. But so in horror movies, that usually happens, but it's usually like Michael or Jason that crash and they get them. But this was, so the logistics are he has to punch through the wall and then grab her, right?
Yeah.
Because he can't just go open-fisted into the wall and then grab her. So for me, I was like, that was the only thing too. There was a few times where I felt like in that fight it was good, but there was a few times where I feel like Elsa she was kicking so much ass in the movie, but then I guess they're just trying to say that he's that good that he can match her there. But that was the only one that took me out was her getting pulled through the wall, because I was like, I don't believe this could happen. One, him timing it to do it, but then two, like, I feel like she would have had enough time to counter it. I don't know. It just, that was the only moment that took me out. These are like really minor nitpicks, but that was really good. And I was actually surprised how much action Benji had in this movie, because most of the time he's just the tech guy, but at the beginning of the movie, he's like shooting guns. Mm-hmm. He's the one that goes into the water to get Lang and like bust him out. And then even this, he's like fighting everything. I quite enjoyed that because it shows like a progression of that character. And I really like Simon Pegg, so more Simon Pegg the better. And I think this team, I'm not sure what their plans for the next one, but in each movie they kind of introduce new characters. This was the first time they didn't. They just brought everyone back. And I know they probably want to spice things up and introduce new people, but really if it's this team, I'm kind of fine. They got like a good dynamic with the four of them, and I like that. So Benji's doing his action stuff. I like that Luther is kind of the conscience of the team, and he seems like he's trying to hold them together. Like I really liked his conversation with Elsa about like, hey, the reason he split from his wife is because he couldn't. Yeah. Every time something bad happened, he worried he could have done something, right? And he's always and I screwed up this last mission because he was worried about me. Don't give him one more thing to worry about. Another minor nitpick. And this is the good thing, folks. When you like the movie that much, you minor nitpick it. So this is good. No, we're not talking about Scott Lang, Dilmas. Jeez Louise.
Scott Lang.
So the moment when he's talking about like, hey, his wife, they broke up, and like you shouldn't be with them. Ethan was just in the corner. He's like, what's going on?
Yeah, I feel like he would have heard so much of that.
Yeah, he's really close to him, and I just thought he was gonna play it off at first, and then when she'd walk away, I thought he was gonna have a conversation with Luther of like, hey, like, what are you doing? Because the thing is, we never, to me, and this is a shout out to Mission Impossible 3, because in 3, when he's talking about possibly getting married, Luther's like trying to talk him out of it. So that's why I thought, okay, they're going to have the scene where he's saying, like, I want to be with Elsa, this and that. You kind of get this vibe that Tom Cruise's character is attracted to Elsa, but from his end, you never actually hear him say that he cares for her or that he loves her. That's why for me it was caught off guard at the ending, because to me all his like romantic stuff is still focused on Julia, where Elsa's clearly like has feelings for him. She doesn't want to hurt him or anything like that. He didn't want to hurt her, but I just felt like it was more coming from her. So I thought there was going to be a scene where he talked about how much he cared, but all the stuff about him caring for Elsa was all from other characters. And I thought that was kind of weird. I guess it got the job done because he does. I think Tom Cruise is a good enough actor that he portrayed that well enough, but I still was waiting for a scene for him to be like, I think I like her. So that's why the ending caught me off guard. It kind of made it seem like, oh yeah, they're a couple now. I thought they would maybe wait a little bit, but it was just kind of like, okay, I can't be with her, so I'll be with her, you know. So, but yeah, I loved that scene when he was that close. I was like, you didn't hear any of that? Especially, I just shot out that scene in Mission Impossible 3 where he hears like 2 doors, like 2 rooms down.
Oh my goodness.
I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah. It wasn't even like 2 separate rooms. It was just like a couple pillars in between them. I feel like just walking all the way up, you heard the whole thing.
Oh, he's standing right there. One scene I will show, because I was going to show earlier that I really forgot, was the scene that he has with Julia and the husband, and then when he walks away and they find plutonium and he has to go. I love the moment when he just like grabs her and tight. He's like, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. To me, that was like one of the only emotion times we got with him, because most of the movie I feel like he kind of has to be like a badass in this movie, but I really, really enjoyed that because it was just really subtle and really well done. As far as badass stuff I wanted to shout out, I really liked everything with the White Widow and that club and everything like that. Because I like that I got John Wick vibes of people are in this club and people are literally killing each other, but people aren't like, eventually they get up because there's gunfire, but like literally Tom Cruise like stabs a guy and puts him down, and there's people like, oh, but they're not even moving around. They're just kind of like, oh, another night at the Widowmaker's or the White Widow's club. And I liked that whole world to the sense of, I hope in another movie, and they kind of left it open with her, I hope we go back or we have to meet the White Widow again, because I liked that club. I really liked her as a character. I liked her like asshole brother. Like I liked everything about that sequence going on of him posing as Jean-Luc and the White Widow. So that was a highlight for me. A big standout was that whole that whole world building. I liked it. That felt really James Bondy as well. So
yeah, definitely.
I quite liked that sequence.
Yeah, I think that definitely the whole sequence. I love that vibe of just kind of like that. sort of adults club of like, you know, there's some dark stuff going on, but everyone has like a presence of like very fancy and formal, but
there's clearly like a line that you could cross of, like there's probably some shady stuff that goes on there, but you know, enough that like you can only do so much, you know, but like the Continental and John Wick, right? Like you no killing out there, you know, you have all these rules, but nobody dies in this dies in this hotel. So
yeah, definitely. And I like the White Widow herself. I don't know the actress name, but she did. I thought I really liked her. The way she portrayed that character, I thought was great. It's like very playful, but also just like very menacing at the same time.
You believe she could kill Ethan and drop down, even though it's Ethan Hunt. Like whether it's her or her men, you could just feel like she could turn at any moment. You know?
Very unpredictable. Yeah, I thought she did that really well, and I really like how she also like. The way she just so casually got in on the action when Ethan was trying to protect her. And I like the whole vibe of the club there because she's supposed to be this sort of philanthropist and the public eye. Yeah. And then behind the scenes, she's a black market arms dealer. And this whole, that whole scene seemed like it was set up as her, it seems like at that event, she's kind of putting on a show as a philanthropist trying to get donations to do nice things, but then you see how the crowd reacts to her literally just killing people, and no one's really causing a big fuss, so it's like, are those people actually there to work with her towards arms dealing and stuff? And so there's that whole thing, like what's going on with this whole underworld and whatnot. And then even just I really love the part how at the very start Ethan, you mentioned, he kills that guy, like turns the knife on him, and then he tries to like sit him down and hide the fact that he killed a person. Then another person comes in, and each time he kills someone it's just more blatant, and he can't cover it up anymore. And then
he just whips something and then the fight's on,
and then they had that really cool team up moment. I thought I was like, that's a superhero team up moment where he like finally kills someone, and then Elsa kills some, or not Elsa, but the White Widow
has this cool knife.
And then another guy comes in with a gun, and then you get Elsa coming and do her cool leg kick thing, and then she like starts walking towards, and then the very last guy with gun, Henry Cavill just like punches him. And then goes like a shot of all of them just leaving, and it's like, that's a sick moment right there.
Yeah, it was really good. And I love that little club entrance with all the mirrors when they're walking and everything like that. Yeah, big shout out to the bathroom scene. I like that because also they showed something in the trailer, but that was really well done. Especially too, I thought they did a good job establishing Henry Cavill at the beginning, and then they trick us later because he's a bad guy. But I like that they showed his style was very different right off the bat, because they say that, hey, you know, IMF, like, we don't like the way you do things, like Halloween, right? They compare it to Halloween, like just boys in masks playing make-believe. And like right away of like, okay, Ethan Hunt's plan is he's going to sneak up on this guy and just put a needle in him and he'll be knocked out. But then Henry Cavill just takes the fucking laptop and just like busts him overhead. Doesn't really do anything because it knocks him out but breaks this thing in this big fight. But I liked throughout that scene, one, it was a good action fight scene, but two, it showed their differences. Of they'd say that, right? He's the hammer, right? Like, like, which, she said, IMF's a scalpel, I prefer a hammer. You know, and I think that whole scene showed it. And it also played him off as dumb, which now in retrospect is fine. But at the beginning, that was the only parts I wasn't liking, because like I don't want him to be like this the whole time. And then I wasn't sure if his whole thing was going to be, if he was good, if it was going to be always kind of a doofus too. He'll be not a doofus, but obviously he's a villain, so it all panned out in the end. But yeah, great fight scene all around, and I love, even the humor was good in there when those guys approach the stall and they think like these guys are getting on, and then just like the
bloody nose thing, and then Tom Cruise is like, you guys want some?
Like I was surprised because I have to go back because I only watched 3 and 5 in preparation before this movie. That huge thing of blood, like I can't recall in this series seeing anything like that, because that was a gratuitous amount of blood.
All the gunfights and everything was very clean. I felt there's no like blood splatters or anything, especially like, I'm gonna compare it to John Wick, but every single time someone gets shot, there's blood flying up behind them and like it's splattered on the wall or something. Whereas there's none of that in this. So that
stood out.
The amount of blood there was. I think part of it is the fact that they showed the blood after the fact. Because they immediately covered the head and then they brought him to the washroom and stuff. And then they never really focused on the blood until after. So it wasn't as, I guess, much of a shocking like issue that younger audiences might have a problem with.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of anything else I need to shout out wise. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Yeah, I'd like to. I don't know if I talked about Lang was still good. He doesn't do too much in this film other than when he's like the creepy villain guy. I liked their back and forth that he had with Henry Cavill's character, and obviously he's like with the apocalypses or whatever what were they?
Apostles.
The apocalypses. The apostles. I like that. I thought the beginning did a good setup of showing what happened in the world and that they kind of span off from the syndicate and everything like that, and he's leading the apostles while still. It's very much almost like a Star Wars thing where it's like he's the Vader to his Emperor and a deal. So yeah, I liked all of that. I liked all the scenes that were just in the middle as far as when they lost plutonium or with Alec Baldwin. I like that his character got a nice little send off there. He was this is the only second movie he's been in, so it's not like it's a long standing character. But I don't know if I have anything too much more to say.
I do want to show one scene where I felt for the most part the cinematography was good, but there wasn't anything kind of outstanding, I guess, for me. But the one scene that I absolutely loved was when Lang, his truck got knocked into the river, and then it showed like he stays in the same spot and the water's moving with him.
So
there.
good.
That was an absolutely phenomenal scene. I loved how they filmed that and whatnot. So I thought that was absolutely amazing. But aside from that, and then also a couple of the motorcycle shots from the chase scene in the town there.
Really good.
Right after that, like the one I really liked how when Elsa was finally catching up on the motorcycle, so she went on the side road, and then she was going down that narrow path, and the audio on this was really good. How you could hear all the little people flying by.
Fantastic.
I thought that there were some really good moments, but for the most part, other than that, it was almost a little disappointing with the cinematography.
I could agree with that wise. I don't think there was anything standing out too much because even the helicopter stuff was a lot of quick cuts, and it was them in the cockpit, right? Which I guess it's kind of hard to shoot. So,
and even until the very end, you didn't even get a huge mountain kind of vista of them flying around. It was only the very end where you kind of see the sunrise and the whole kind of mountain area, and it was really very beautiful. But aside from that, I think there's a few missed opportunities for some really nice shots that they could have had. For one, I guess I'll go back to the one where he's climbing the tallest building in the world. There's some kind of further back shots that are really nice looking. Whereas I felt in this film there wasn't anything stunning like that. Yeah.
No, I can agree with that. I think because I remember the action of this movie, and I remember moments more than visuals as far as that shot really stuck. Because 4 definitely has that with the tallest building, and then even 3 I just watched recently again for this has certain moments where there's a great moment where they have Philip Seymour Hoffman caught, and of course his bad guys bust him out. It's just this really great set piece of them on a bridge and this helicopter just going around trying to kill and everything like that. So I could agree with that because I think the moments that were supposed to be big set pieces didn't happen. I think there's good environments. I use the thing of her going that was a sound anything, but still when she's driving down that narrow path in the room with all the mirrors, I think they had some good set pieces and it looked good, but I don't think I can agree with you. There's not a single shot I think about man, that really stuck up. Even I think the time where they could have done it was those dream sequences, but those were pretty basic too, with them getting married on the island. It's literally just them on the island. It's probably them on a green screen, but there was I that's a good point. What I did want to bring up is not a nitpick thing, but the part where, not that I was lost, but I was trying to wonder, so they're meeting with John Lark, when Tom Cruise is posing as John Lark, right, with the Widowmaker, or the White Widow, and the whole thing is they want Lang, and in exchange they'll give them the 2 other plutoniums, right?
Yes.
Why did they need John Lark for that mission? It felt like the second John Lark got there, they had the whole thing mapped out and ready to go. So that was my one thing that I didn't understand, is why they need this one guy to get Lang, because at one moment I thought they were going to specify he needed something, Lark could have something on Lang or help him, but there was no moment where I was wondering why they needed Lark for that mission. If they wanted Lang, I felt like they could have busted him out. They already had the idea of, hey, we're going to block the cops off and just kill the cops and break them out. I thought it was a really clever way how they got out of it, but I was trying to think, why did they need Lark in that? Why did they need him for that mission?
That's a good point. I was wondering the same thing too, because they had they provided all the men, they had the route planned out, and they had the means to get Lang. So but the price that they wanted from John Lark was providing Lang.
Yeah, and it's like they just want him to be there. Like, I thought what was going to happen was, like, hey, not even then, I just thought when they got there it was going to be like, actually I didn't think anything because we didn't know what they wanted John Lark for up to that point. And then when they get there, they're like, hey, we're trying to bust this guy out of jail, and then they have the map. But, like, if I would have known that in advance, I would have thought, okay, maybe they want to get Lang, but only Lark knows where he is, or he can track him because he has, like, these higher... these friends that out there that could be like, oh, we've tried to track Lane, we can't, let's get Lark, because he's been this guy who's, spreading smallpox, he's a big terrorist, maybe he'll have connections to find out where Lang was. But they knew where Lang was going to be, they had the plan, a plan that, obviously I liked that, like, fake out when they show Cruz as, like, if the plan would happen and him killing cops and everything.
That was a really good shot.
Yeah, and I liked that too because even in, like, this dream sequence, they show him a little reluctant to shoot. When he shoots a cop, he's, like, a little, off. But then when he got the gun, I'm like, okay, this is not real because it's just being too dramatic now. But I like that. But that was one thing that was missing for me. Maybe I'll have to look at, other reviews or even on Wikipedia at the plot breakdown. But I didn't know why Lark needed to be there at all. That didn't make much sense, especially because they're giving up two huge things. They're giving up these 2 plutonium bombs that everybody's after.
Yep.
Huge, world-threatening.
I mean, the one thing that I guess to play off of is that because in the end we find that White Widow is really just orchestrating a deal with the CIA.
Yeah, a deal within a deal.
Yeah, the deal is to get both Lang and John Lark at the same time kind of together and give them both to the CIA.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why, I mean, behind the scenes, that's why they need John Lark there. Mm-hmm. But to actually execute the plan from, like, not knowing that, it doesn't make sense as to why they need John Lark. I mean, John Lark is there because he wants the plutonium cores, of course.
But what is he off?
But
that's what
what is he actually? What are they actually getting in return?
Yeah,
nothing. So you think if there was an actual John Lark, maybe he'd be like, wait a second, something doesn't add up here.
Yeah, didn't make much sense.
Yeah,
so
it might have been that. I mean, there's also the fact that there could have been some communication between, I guess it was actually Henry Cavill, but John Lark and White Widow before
to set this up.
There could have been some setup before that that involved some information that Ethan Hunt obviously wasn't aware of. That makes it make more sense, but if there was that, it would be nice if they actually clarified that at some point.
Mm-hmm. Even if maybe if I ever watch this movie, I'll catch it. But even if they would have said like, "Oh, the plan as we discussed," but even then, they lay it out like this is the first time they've told Lark this plan, right? And like I said, maybe there's a line I missed. But even if they would have said, "Oh, because you've provided us information where Lang's gonna be, we created this plan. How do you feel about this plan?" Like I said, maybe there was a throwaway line, didn't catch it. But from what I remember, there wasn't, and because I remember that whole time the scene, I was like, "Oh, this is all cool," but I was trying to figure out like why do we need him, other than because he's Tom Cruise, he needs to be there, and they never really answered that.
Yeah.
So
it could have also been because they needed John Lark to get Lane to cooperate with them.
But didn't they just want to give him up? So they just needed to kidnap him, though, right? So,
but John Lark doesn't know that. I mean, he might have.
But then they still wouldn't need John Lark there, right? Because they're like, oh, then we're gonna have to break him. Then we're gonna tell John Lark like, oh, really, we don't need you. We just needed you. So that, like I said, maybe on a rewatch I will, or in the comments let me know. But yeah, I don't think I have anything else to shout out, positive or negative about this movie. You have anything else?
I did, but I can't remember it right now.
You want me to do my final thoughts?
Yeah.
And then if you think about it. So yeah, no, I really enjoyed this movie. Like I said, we just did a few like fun little nitpickies there, and that's what you have to when you really enjoy a movie. There's, why did Ethan not hear them? What's going on with John Lark? But really, it's a top-notch movie as far as action. And there's some really, those scenes that we talked about, I guess I didn't stress enough, but when they do find out Henry Cavill is a bad guy and then they dupe him, those are really great, intense scenes. And I thought all the scenes with Cavill in the middle when we knew he was bad and they didn't know were great. Always tension going around because he was like a loose cannon. Not even the way he acted, just in the plot, he's a loose cannon because you don't know what's going to happen. And we've seen this guy kill people and lie, so it's like, and we've seen him just beat people with his fist to death, so that was great. And yeah, good for him because I think he's a really talented actor. I really like his Superman. I just feel like he's in movies that are not written the best, but I think he's a really solid actor. The rest of the cast is great. Tom Cruise is great as usual. I'm excited for more adventures down the line. Sound editing, like I said, was fantastic. yeah, I'm not sure where they go from here, but they're going to go on another mission. I'm going to love it. And like I said, I hope they keep this team. I like this team. It's a good mix of people. I hope that they do more than with Elsa and Ethan then to really establish them as a couple, because I felt that was the only thing in this movie that didn't work from a story standpoint for me. It was like, okay, yeah, maybe like the John Lark thing could be a plot hole, but just from writing for me was the romantic stuff. I felt like because so much other stuff was going on with world-ending nukes, and you had Lang, and you had John Lark, and you had the team. I felt with them throwing in his wife and his ex-wife, and then also the love with Elsa, that was maybe a bit too much for the film. And it wasn't hampered down because it wasn't the fact that there was so much of it, it ruined it. It was just that there was so little of it. I was like, probably could have done this in another movie, just because I feel like there will be a Mission Impossible 7, but you know what, I guess, hey, we can just start and they'll be out of the way and there'll be a couple and we can just go from there. So yeah, I'm giving this a 9 out of 10. It's a high score, but those were the two things. There were a few moments that were a bit too cheesy for me that took me out of it, and that one plot line that was kind of rushed. I wish that they didn't show in the trailer, because like I said, I still feel like that would have been such a great movie theater moment. We had no idea that wife's coming in, and if Henry Cavill, no dream sequences through that photograph, you'd be like, oh my goodness, this is huge. But 2 dream sequences featuring her as a hostage kind of give that up. So everything with the love thing didn't really click for me. So a 9 out of 10. Very enjoyable, and yeah, I'll watch again someday, and I'm excited for 7. I'm excited for how many of these they make. You know, as long as Tom is around, keep pumping these out. So, yeah.
I thought of what I wanted to say.
Boom, it worked.
I wanted to ask you about the final sort of bomb defusing situation and how they kind of did that kind of twist. That, I mean, it wasn't really a twist. I mean, I don't think anyone thinks the bombs are actually going to go off, but the way they kind of did that scene at the end with the cutting the wires and going to white, and then that sort of misleading shot of Tom just like still hanging off the mountain there. Mm-hmm. What did you think about all that?
I think I liked it because, like you said, it's not the bomb's not gonna go off. They're not gonna kill, like, unless they're pulling a Logan and like, hey, this is it. But that's never gonna happen until, like, I think at some point, because Tom Cruise obviously is getting older, I think at some point they will make a movie where this is Tom's final go. But I think it will be like a Hugh Jackman Logan where they'll announce it beforehand, being like, hey,
it's set up to be that.
Yeah,
kind of
this is Tom's last time as Ethan Hunt. Come watch and enjoy, because you're not seeing him do it again. So I think in the moment of educated moviegoer, I know, okay, this isn't gonna happen. But I think it's a good little dramatic tension moment, and the stuff with the bomb worked because it was like, okay, I guess so. And I guess he didn't have to hit the disarm button within the 10 seconds, right? I think he could have just hit it any time, and as long as it was good to go, they could cut it, right? Yeah. Okay, that was fine with me, because for me, that was the only thing of, like, if he also had the time to disarm, I was like, another thing that's way too illogical to happen. But yeah, no, I liked it. Did you bring that up because you didn't like it, or?
I can't decide whether I like in the moment when it first like shot to white, I was like, this is kind of dumb.
Yeah.
But then thinking about it more and kind of like the way they filmed the reveal, because initially it's like showing from behind and he's still hanging on the ledge, and he just sees like this, you see this bloom of light, which is obviously camera effects and the sun coming up and whatnot. So, and then because they immediately after they go to shot straight up of him and he's got the little detonator key in his mouth. So I thought, like, the more I think about it, the more I like it.
Just
initially
in the moment,
it felt kind of like that's like a little too cheesy.
Yeah.
But I think I do like it in the end. I like it enough. I think watching it another time through, I'll probably like it more.
Yeah.
Just because there's probably little things that like you can appreciate when you're not in the moment, and you kind of take a step back from it. So overall, yeah, I didn't have any problems with it, but I thought that was just like a really cool moment.
Yeah.
Either way, overall, I liked the movie a lot more than I was expecting to. It was a good action film. I'm not usually one for the more cheesy spy flicks, at least. I do like the more kind of serious, with a lot more drama, I guess.
Yeah.
But I did really end up enjoying it. I enjoyed the pace, and a lot of the, one thing that surprised me was a lot of the comedy that was kind of put in through either Luther or Benji, and sometimes Ethan even, in those more intense sequences, just sort of sometimes the commentary, the way they do something, it really fit. They did a great job with that, keeping that sort of same tone and not feeling like it was all over the place. And so that really impressed me. And then overall, I think the cinematography was a little bit disappointing, at least for this kind of a movie. I'd expect much bigger, kind of stunning and kind of awe-inspiring shots, but there were a couple of things that stood out, which I mentioned already. But other than that, that was a little bit disappointing. Soundtrack was great. I loved a lot of the music, that constant kind of drumming or whatnot that was ongoing through a lot of the scenes was really good. They did have a lot of good kind of slowed down emotional moments too. I really liked the scene where he's talking to that cop after the doors open. Really it goes good, from a comedic moment to like a very emotional to stressful
to really serious when she pulls the gun, and when he's like, you should walk away, and she's not moving, you're like, oh, it's because it is that thing of like, oh, is he gonna have to take out some innocent person? And really well done scene.
And then it goes from there. It was a nice way to kind of slow down from the chase scene, get really like put in some good character development and kind of emotion and whatnot, and then get right back into the chase scene. So I thought that was a really good way to kind of help pace it, and just like it didn't feel out of place at all either. No. Sometimes getting that kind of serious moment in between chase scenes, I guess, is tough, and they did it really well. All the acting was phenomenal. I don't think there's anyone who really felt out of place or felt like they weren't giving it all, which is really great to see.
Like even down to just like John Lark, the guy who's like the fake John Lark in the washroom, like, and like I said, White Widow's brother, who like minor characters, but they feel like those characters.
I think my favorite moment was actually White Widow's brother was when it was after the fact that they got Lang, and they're kind of like discussing it. It just shows like a shot of him in the background. It's like, yeah, my brothers don't really trust you. Like they're wondering what the fuck is going on. And he's just like hands on the belt. He's just like looks all sneery and like really goofy. Yeah. And it's like so cheesy, but it's like that is perfect for that character.
So I'm hoping they come back. I hope they're a recurring thing. Oh, which I also found out this. I'm not super smart, so this I found from a different source. They've shout out a character named Max. Max is a villain, kind of a turncoat in the first movie. So their mother is in the very first Mission Impossible. She's someone that's working with them, and turns out she's like a double agent. She's kind of a bad guy, and I think it's that or it's a reverse where she's a bad guy and she starts working for him. But either way, they're tied to a character from the first Mission Impossible. So fun little shout out there fun little world building thing. So I hope they're back, because I liked that whole. I'm not asking for like a spin-off movie. I just hope at some point when in the next movie when how could we do this, and Nathan's just like, I know somebody, and then just boom, like especially to the amount she was in it, work and her brother, like no one felt overbearing as far as those characters. So
definitely. So I thought that was really good. One thing I do also kind of have an issue with, I mean, it's probably more of a me issue than most people's issue, but Elsa and Julia looked very similar. And having never...
He is a type,
Having never seen, or I guess not having any knowledge kind of offhand as... I couldn't remember, like, distinctly who was who.
Yeah.
So a lot of the time, like, the very opening dream sequence of, like, the marriage vows and stuff, I thought that was Elsa the whole time. And then the picture, I had to ask you in the movie, like, is that his wife? Yeah. Is that, like, some other character, or is that Elsa? Or what's going on here? So it wasn't enough to kind of take me out of the movie or anything, but it was just kind of like, I need some clarification on this. But, overall, really good film, a lot better than I expected. I definitely recommend it to anyone who likes action or spy films. Even if you are kind of more into the serious stuff, it's a really good fun one where you don't have to turn off your brain and have fun with it.
And it has serious moments too. Like it has drama and comedy, and they mesh pretty well. Like I feel like they find a good balance. It doesn't lean one way or the other. Like it has cheesy moments, but it's not overly cheesy. It has dramatic moments, but it's not overly dramatic. Like and it's funny that it's probably why, like, I know you and Dylan are a bit more on, but that's why, like, with Force Awakens I quite like, because JJ directed that, and he directed Mission Impossible 3, and then he's produced these other ones. But that's what was one of my biggest things with Last Jedi, was the humor never worked, because it was always at a place where in this movie, that's why it's compared to Force Awakens for me, like the humor worked because they just pick the right moments and they say the right things that are not too over the top, not too much, In the MCU, sometimes they say stuff that's over the top, but for me, it's a comic book world, and I kind of go with it. So then this is a world where we're supposed to be in the real world. Like, they say stuff that are quips or just little side remarks that I feel like someone would say. Like, especially most stuff Luther says. Like, they're just snide comments, but they work, And they're not. I feel like the humor is really well paced in the movie. That there's not just a big block of like comedy hour. You know, it's like a few jokes sprinkled here and there, and then it's like action drama. Like they have a good blender. You know, they got a good way to portion their meal, so they figured that out. So 6 movies in.
Mm-hmm. And I just want to, my final thing to say is just the fight scenes. I felt they're very hit or miss for me.
Okay.
I really liked the opening one with, I guess there was only really one that I didn't like a whole lot, but I really liked the final one between Ethan and
fair enough. Yeah.
But I really like that kind of more, that kind of like spy style where it's more about kind of precision, really being really fast than brute force, and they did it really well with Elsa's and Solomon Lang's one.
Mm-hmm.
I found that fight, it was just like a lot of quick movements, well choreographed.
Head scissors.
And they're like every shot's going for like a pressure point, or like they're going for the neck, those weak spots. It's not just like Henry Cavill just throwing big haymakers and stuff. And so I really liked that fight. And then the fight itself was just really good in the bathroom too.
Yeah.
But then the final fight between Ethan and Pavel it was a little lackluster. I mean, I kind of like that. I can appreciate the style fight of like both characters really hurt and tired, and they're like they don't have a whole lot of control over what they're doing to a degree.
Yeah, it still wasn't down and dirty enough though for me. So like, have you ever seen The Revenant?
No, I haven't. Actually.
So anyway, like it's not a big spoiler. It happens in the first like 10 minutes. Like the movie is about like Tom Hardy kills Leo's son, and like the whole movie is like Leo's gonna come get him, and like so it's a movie obviously takes place way back in time when they're like fur traders and everything, and the whole movie like Leo's hunting after Tom Hardy, where Tom Hardy's climbing this mountain and stuff like that. So when they find each other and they fight, it's really tired and it's rugged and they bite each other. I don't know if I needed like it to be that violent, but it felt like they've been through a lot. But then the second they fight, they're like kind of back to cool moves. Like I wish it was a bit more down and dirty. And I guess we didn't really talk about this. This is a big plot point. Why do you think in the middle of the movie in the middle of that fight they made Henry Cavill Two-Face? I thought it was a weird choice. When remember he gets burned and like half his face, because at first I thought, okay, he's maybe gonna come back and this is his thing, like this is his villain look, right? But I felt like it was maybe. I guess they were trying to make it more gross, but the thing was, I don't think it was needed, because I think if the fight was more personal and down and dirty, I think they would have added to. Like if you would have got shots of Henry Cavill's face, like while he's punching Ethan, and you're seeing it, but I felt like it was just like look, he got really burnt. Like it just felt me leaving empty in the moment where this guy literally got his face burned off, and I was like,
it was purely visual. Like, there was no they didn't really use it in the fight, and even after
he could have
even after that, there wasn't any like big kind of focus on it after that.
It was strange. It was just like, hey, let's do this prosthetic thing. Like I honestly thought that might be a way where he was gonna be raining down on him, or he's gonna be choking him, and Ethan might like pull out his burns, like that might hurt. But like nothing played into it. It's just like, hey, we're gonna burn. Like Henry Cavill probably sat in a chair for 2 hours for that makeup, and I thought it was a little unnecessary. It was like, okay, it looked like it would kill, but you know.
Yeah. So just that last fight, they didn't feel like they were fighting for their lives. I guess it felt very.
Or nuclear weapons either.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, that one was a little weak for me, but I guess now that I think about it, as far as like the big fight scenes goes, there's pretty much that one, the Lane fight scene, and then the bathroom one, and 2 out of 3 I liked. So
and I thought the nightclub. The nightclub wasn't a big fight scene, but I liked it was like a
that one was really good too.
Set piece sort of way. So,
yeah, I guess it's just that. I guess since it's the kind of the big final fight, it was a little But still, overall, enjoyable movie. As far as my score goes, I'm gonna give this one a 7 out of 10. I was expecting to be giving it maybe a 6.
Maybe a 6.
So overall, like, it's still a really great film. It's, for me at least, to hit that kind of 8, 9, 10, you need to be like, it needs to be something really special for me. And it for me, like a lot of films, they don't really get to that spot unless they have like a really kind of deep emotional
Arrival, like we were talking about,
sort of thing with me there. So. Fun movies can get there, but for me, there's almost like a soft cap on them.
It's a lot tougher.
Like even like Ant-Man and the Wasp, I gave an 8, and that one was really special. But as far as those ones go, like even that one was like I barely gave it an 8. So it's tough, but still overall a really good movie. I definitely recommend it to a lot of people. So yeah, great film. That's all I got.
I think one podcast topic we need to have everyone sit down and talk about how they give their score. Even Dylan Musk, like what they give their fun ratings. Because for me, I'm the opposite of the only movies I give a 10 are movies that are like, which I give a lot probably, but like still movies that I go, wow, I know I'm gonna be watching this over and over. But then after that, how I grade movies is I start to deduct. Like for me, the reason this is a 9 is because like, okay, there's some cheesy stuff, so that's a 0.5, and then there's that rush thing, so I took a whole point.
Yeah.
That's my rating system. I always like take points away. I go for like what's more like how many cons do I have, then go from there. Where yours is different than I don't know what Taylor Fields really is, but like we should have that discussion of like what because it's funny because when you talk about that way of has to hit you on an emotional level, I never thought about that because this movie does not hit me on an emotional level at all. But I go, I give it a 9. That's a solid A. But I go, that's because that's for me. I always find like my personal scores. I always find it tough to be like, okay, how could I give this anything lower than a 9 for me? Because like I didn't dislike anything, like not that much, right?
Yeah.
So
I think scores. It's really interesting. I know I remember like maybe like a year and a half ago. We were in Dylan's basement. Mm-hmm. But I think it was like at the start of maybe just after either the first year or sometime between then and the second year. But I remember we did actually all talk about kind of a little bit of discussion. It might have been on like it was a special cast, I think, for sure, and we were kind of discussing things. And this was when kind of Dylan introduced that he's no longer doing school.
Maybe that's how it happened, yeah.
It might have been something like that, but I actually, just for this one, I actually thought of a new method, and I'm going to be doing this before, but thought of a kind of a different method than I have been before for giving scores, so it's a lot. I'm not going to go back through all my old scores unless it gets brought up, but I really like the system of rating it things out of 5 rather than 10, so, but I do like the...
Well, okay, do you give 0.5s though?
No.
See, I can't stand that, so my Adam app, after he saw this movie, messaged me, what would you give this movie out of 5? I think a 4 is way too strong, but then I think a 3 is too low. So for me, a 3.5 would be perfect, but I liked it more, so it doesn't let me do 0.5, so I gave it a 4 because, I like it more than that. So see, that's what I thought. For me, the reason I like 10 is because I have so many versatility, and then if I give something like a 1 or 2, it's bad. Because like a 2 out of 5 movie might not be, it's a fail, but it's still like, fine, because you don't even have the option to give it 2.5 then on your system. Then you can't give it a solid, so it can't be just a pass, can't be just a 50.
Technically, it can. So what I'm doing, I'm starting with the best out of 5. Mm-hmm. So for this one, for example, I gave it a 3 out of 5, and then
Well, now you did. You didn't tell me that before. You said 7 out of 10.
It is still 7.
Okay.
So it starts with the out of 5, and then because it also is because everyone does it out of 10 on the cast, so it's good to stay consistent to some degree. So I think, so...
I don't know, Dylan just blew that up though, and Jessica's maybe joining him. So I still think you can throw out both, but you should still throw out the out of 5, because so you said this is a 3 out of 5, okay, 3 out of 5 and a 7 out of 10, that seems about right. Yeah.
The way that works, and because obviously you could just say, it's a 3.5 out of 5.
Yeah.
The way I guess it works for me is I'm going to go like 0 through 5 are different tiers, and so I put in one of those tiers, and then, so 3 out of 5, I bring it to out of 10, so that would directly goes into 6 out of 10, and then I kind of tier it between either 6 or 7 out of 10.
Okay.
So each like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is a different tier, and then within that tier it's either like a 6 or a 7. So it's kind of high tier or low tier depending on...
So a 3 out of 5 would probably be good, right?
Yeah, it's kind of above average, good. 4 is great, and then 5 out of 5 is just like
a new favorite film. Yeah. And
exactly.
Then 2 is bad, and then 1 is.
Yeah.
Or do you give 0 stars?
I've never seen a movie that I've had to give a 0.
But I'm saying it comes because like with...
I would.
Okay,
because if it was that bad.
Because that's another option that... Adam, you don't provide me the app. Is if I want to give it stars, I can't give it a 0 stars out of 5 because I would have done that for Jigsaw way long ago. But yeah, okay. I want to know if you would give 0.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we're never at that point, but I want to know if it was still a possibility. So, well, there you go, folks. You got some insight to some of our rating or reviews. We'll have to ask Taylor one day because I don't know. His changed all the time.
We've tried.
Even though you know what, I have to give him credit. He's like every time we give him crap about Suicide Squad, he's always been like, oh, I haven't watched it in so long, blah, blah. And he watched it again, he's like, yeah, I'd still give it 10 out of 10. So you know what? It's consistent, he loves that movie. And
to it,
yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in. Like I said, next week, I'm not sure what there will be. I think a newscast or a Christopher Nolan review or both. And then apparently, I don't know, the week after, I think me and Taylor are seeing the Meg. I got roped into seeing the Jason Statham movie because my Cinema app. So I think there'll be a review for the Meg. So we got some reviews going, which is good because there's some news I want to talk about that's been happening. But news has been, we had E3, we had Comic-Con, everything's kind of quiet. But there's been some stuff breaking out. We got to talk about the Star Wars stuff here and everything like that. So thank you very much for tuning in. We will catch you next week at some point. I promise you it'll not be boring.
Later, nerds.
Why did you ask if that Leia thing was real?